Thanks for watching Endgame Economics. If you enjoyed this video, hit subscribe. It's completely free for you, and it helps us continue making more videos like this.
Okay, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking the mind of a state that, let's be honest, everyone absolutely loves to mock. Yet, its residents, they defend it with this fierce, almost religious loyalty. We're talking about the psychology of New Jersey, the dense, defensive, and weirdly affectionate mindset of a place squeezed into a tiny geographic footprint. So, the central paradox we're digging into today is exactly this. Why do people constantly complain about this state, flee its crazy extremes, but then spend the rest of their lives proudly identifying with it? I mean, these folks will literally drive 60 miles in Florida just to find a deli that imports the exact right kind of breakfast meat, and they'll tell strangers unprompted about a hometown no one has ever heard of. To get why this happens, we first have to look at the physical reality on the ground. New Jersey crams an astonishing 1,263 people into every single square mile. Just to put that into perspective, if the entire United States had that kind of density, the country would hold over 4.5 billion people. By raw statistics, it's actually more crowded than India. And that intense compression, it completely rewires the population's brains for aggressive efficiency. It creates this permanent state of situational awareness, where every left turn is a negotiation, and small talk is just efficiently eliminated to save everyone's time. Now take that extreme physical compression and pair it with this financial reality. $10,570. That is the staggering average property tax bill for 2025. It's the highest in the entire nation. It is effectively the cost of buying a used Honda Civic every single year just for the privilege of keeping a house you already own. When you combine that kind of density with that kind of expense, you forge a genuinely unique psychological landscape. Here is our roadmap to crack open the New Jersey mind. 1. Squeezed in the shadow zone. 2. The property tax religion. 3. Defending the tribal totems. 4. Saints, sinners, and stereotypes. And finally 5. The Great Jersey Diaspora. Section 1. Squeezed in the shadow zone, the geographic middle child. You really can't understand the Jersey mind without understanding the trauma of being squeezed between two massive gravity wells, New York City and Philadelphia. Imagine growing up as the back lawn shared by two incredibly loud neighbors who refuse to even acknowledge that the lawn exists. Sociologists actually call this kind of positioning a shadow zone. When your nightly news is filmed in someone else's skyline, and the airport you fly out of is literally named Newark Liberty just to remind everyone the Statue of Liberty is nearby, you develop profound overcompensation. This geographic squeeze sparks what we call compensatory pride. Locals will forcefully correct the record and aggressively remind you that Edison, Einstein, and Sinatra, yeah, they belong to Jersey. This squeeze is so intense that it even fractures the state internally. Roughly 2/3 of the population lives within an hour of either Manhattan or Philly. So North and South Jersey are basically living in different realities. They consume completely different media, and they root for out-of-state sports teams. The state quite literally does not have its own dominant, unifying media voice. They're geographically divided loyalists. Section 2. The property tax religion, the long-running monthly contract negotiation. So how does this build into the central financial trauma shaping family dynamics? Well, homeowners are locked in a strange, exhausting psychological loop. On one hand, they deeply resent the brutal 2.23% effective property tax rate. It honestly feels like a recurring medical bill. But on the other hand, they are fiercely protective of the system. Why? Because it buys their kids access to public schools that rank 4th nationally. They are effectively paying $18,000 a year in property taxes to avoid paying $40,000 a year in private school tuition. It's a very calculated, very anxious sacrifice. Section 3. Defending the tribal totems, reappropriation, and hyperlocal identity. When you live in an exhausting, expensive, high-density environment, you desperately need comforting, hyper-local coping mechanisms. Since they don't have a grand, unifying internal city, they build their identity around highly specific local totems. Enter the New Jersey Diner. It's essentially a secular cathedral, acting as what sociologists call a third place. With a 14-page laminated menu and bottomless coffee, it's the one physical space where the state's incredibly diverse socioeconomic classes exist in total, uninterrupted equilibrium. A union electrician, a corporate attorney, and a bunch of teenagers at 2 in the morning can all sit under the same original chrome and vinyl, stepping totally outside the pressure of Jersey life. And honestly, nothing highlights this tribal behavior better than the invisible civil war over a processed breakfast meat. North Jersey calls it Taylor ham, fiercely defending the original brand name. South Jersey relies on the 1906 legal definition and calls it pork roll. This incredibly specific semantic dispute functions as a secret password for natives to recognize each other across the country. It just proves that identity there isn't built on abstract state seals. It's built on granular, unfakeable local rituals. Which naturally brings us to the gas pump paradox. Outsiders view New Jersey's 1949 law, making it the only state where it is strictly illegal to pump your own gas, as a bizarre, inefficient anachronism. But residents, they view it as a cherished ritual. In a state defined by rapid demographic and economic chaos, having an attendant pump your gas is a cultural anchor. It's a visible piece of exceptionalism that simply signals you're in New Jersey and we do things differently. Section 4. Saints, Sinners, and Stereotypes, the Soprano Shadow, and the Boss Doctrine. Let's examine how the outside world perceives the state through two massive yet conflicting pop culture mythologies. Back in 1999, The Sopranos fundamentally altered the world's image of New Jersey. While it definitely saddled Italian Americans with a statistically inaccurate mafia stereotype, locals ultimately embraced it anyway. Why? Because it completely captured the specific strip mall texture of suburban New Jersey. It made the state visually and culturally legible to itself, using the mob as a metaphor for suburban decline in late-stage capitalism. For once, New Jersey was the center of the story. On the flip side, you have Bruce Springsteen offering a deeply redemptive mythology. He took hyper-local spots like Highway 9 and the bars of Asbury Park and elevated the blue-collar worker into the subject of great American art. Before Springsteen, the Jersey factory worker was mostly just a punchline for Manhattan comedians. The boss sanctified their lives, proving that New Jersey's working-class experience wasn't a joke. It was the ultimate American story. Section 5. The Great Jersey Diaspora. Out-migration ambivalence. All of this brings us to a really bittersweet reality. This incredibly sticky, vibrant culture is currently experiencing a massive exodus. In 2024, an incredible 56% of moves were outbound. Retirees and middle-class families are fleeing the crushing taxes, the capped deductions, and a looming $3 billion state budget deficit. They're packing up moving vans and heading for lower-tax states like Florida, the Carolinas, and Pennsylvania, just searching for a place where their savings won't be devoured. But here's what's absolutely fascinating. They don't actually become Floridians or Pennsylvanians. Because of something sociologists call identity stickiness, they become expatriate New Jerseyans. They join Facebook groups for Jersey expats, they drive 60 miles for imported pork roll, and they fiercely defend the state they literally couldn't afford to stay in. They leave the geography, but they just cannot leave the psychology. So what does this all mean? Well, the crucial takeaways from this explainer are profound. First, density is destiny. Extreme compression forces incredible social adaptation and efficiency. Second, true identity is built on granular, local rituals, not abstract slogans. And third, absorbing mockery is a brilliant psychological defense. When outsiders sneer and ask, "What exit?" New Jerseyans don't get offended. They print it on a t-shirt, turning an insult into a multi-million-dollar brand. As we wrap up, we're left with a major question. With accelerating outmigration and crushing structural deficits, can this durable, paradoxical psychology survive? Or is it destined to be remembered only as a museum of itself by the diaspora who left it behind? The state might be losing residents, and the budget choices ahead are definitely brutal. But if history tells us anything, the diners will stay open and the Jersey identity will just keep fighting back. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and I hope this completely changes how you see the next Garden State license plate you spot out on the highway.